I'm with the Office of and Technical Education, and I am the manager for the KTS Data Exchange. For those of you all don't know, the KTS Data Exchange is a secure change of data that transfers from the student's home high school, with the primary enrollment record is, to the student's technical school, where they have a secondary enrollment record. I'd like to start off the session by pointing everyone to the KTS Data Exchange webpage. That webpage can be located by going to the Kentucky Department of Education website. So you can Google that. If you go to the Kentucky Department of Education website, it's going to look something like this. In the top right-hand corner, you can type in KTS Data Exchange. KTS Data Exchange stands for Kentucky Technical Schools, just so you all know. Type in KTS Data Exchange, and whatever search results pop up, the first result there, if you go ahead and click on that, that'll take you directly to our KTS Data Exchange webpage. Okay, and from here, it's important for you to save this to your favorites, bookmark it, any way you can to get back to this page at a later date, because this is the information that you'll need in order to properly set up for the KTS Data Exchange, but also to troubleshoot for KTS Data Exchange issues, and also to go back and look for previously recorded trainings. So I'm just going to kind of briefly go through the KTS Data Exchange webpage, just so you know where to look for things. In the middle of the page, it gives you an overview of what the KTS Data Exchange is. If you scroll down a little bit further under recorded trainings, there's a direct link to my YouTube channel. And on that YouTube channel, I try to keep updated recordings from past trainings. So, and that's where I plan to actually post this recording. So check back in, a week or two if you have questions about what was discussed during today's training, and you'll be able to kind of skim through the training again. Scrolling back up on the right-hand side under System Administrator Setup heading, these are all the documents that you need to refer when you are setting up for the KTS Data Exchange, when you're setting up courses, when you're setting up your grading tasks, when you are troubleshooting grade sync issues, when you're troubleshooting, grade posting issues for teachers, different things like that listed under the System Administrator Setup heading, and we'll refer back here a little bit later in the training today. Going on down under User Resources, there's more documentation related to the KTS Data Exchange that kind of enhances your experience when using the KTS Data Exchange. We'll go down through here and look at one or two of these documents as well today. Scrolling on down further, these are specific links to our Infinite Campus login page for the Kentucky Technical System for state operated centers or regional. There are some regional career academies, excuse me, that use our database. The majority of the people today are locally operated centers, and what that means is you your technical school operates in the district, in the same district in which you service. Okay. I did notice is one person on the call who is currently housed in our Kentucky Technical System database. This training, I think that you're planning on transitioning out next year into the district. So I don't know how much of this training is going to be helpful for you at this point, if or when that ever happens, but you're welcome to stay today, regardless. And then going on down further, there's some other training resources listed here. So just making sure that you understand how important it is for you to be able to get back to this KTS Data Exchange webpage when you need it. All right. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering the decoding of the high school course codes. It's important for everybody, whether you are working out of a technical school side or whether you're working out of the high school side. It's important for everyone to understand those 13-digit course codes and how they're differed and how they connect and how they're created and so forth. So we're going to take a few minutes this morning to discuss those course codes. We're also going to go over proper course setup, just to make sure everybody understands how to properly pull in a brand new course or how to update a rolled forward course. We are also going to be, it's not on here, listed on here, but I'm going to talk today a little bit about the new grading window tool. The new grading window tool is a little bit different than a lot of people were used to with the active masks method, the way that Infinite Campus did things in the past. So I just kind of wanted to talk to you about how the grading window tool needs to be set up in relation to the KTS Data Exchange, because there are some little things that you need to understand with that in order to make those grades sync successfully. And then we're also going to be talking about the new year scheduling processes and things for you to keep in mind, things for you to talk to your team about. And when I say team, I mean if you are a locally operated technical school, the high or the middle schools that you service at your technical school, those people who set up those courses in the high schools, they are part of your team. And so it's important for you all to communicate with one another and each role in the KTS Data Exchange. It really makes the whole process run smoother in the end. Any questions before I proceed? Okay. All right. So why are course codes important? And when I say course codes, I just don't mean the numbers. I mean the course masters. So they're a critical part of the KTS Data Exchange because it is the correct setup and linking of the course master is what actually triggers the KTS Data Exchange and enables the KTS Data Exchange to sync student data from the technical schools to from the high schools to the technical schools. So it's important to understand how those course codes or course masters are triggered with the KTS Data Exchange and how they link all of those correctly. As a technical school side is actually the side that initiates the KTS Data Exchange when they pull in a course or create a course and add a section. When they do that night, the KTS Data Exchange says, okay, the technical school is doing something in their database. They've created a section. We need to grab that section and sync it over to the high school's catalog. So that starts the whole process right there. And when that happens, when that course master is pulled into the KTS Exchange, it gives it several identifiers for that course code, prefix and some suffixes, in order to make that course code a unique course number that identifies specifically the technical school, the course, the period, and the section. And you need to know that every number that you see in the KTS catalog is a unique number because of those prefix and suffixes. And so a little bit of breakdown. What happens is on the technical school side, when the technical school pulls the course in, it is a 6-digit state course code. It comes from a catalog that has 6-digit state course codes. When the KTS Data Exchange grabs that course and pulls it into the KTS Data Exchange, it adds some different segments to create that unique number. The first segment that it adds is the technical school ID number. And that technical school ID number is unique and represents the technical school. So there's a direct link on this PowerPoint to get to the tech school ID number list, but you can also go back to the KTS Data Exchange webpage. On the right-hand side, under System Administrator Setup, and then look for, oops, I clicked on the wrong button, sorry. Look for a document called KTS Technical School ID Numbers. So we're going to go ahead and click on that for just a second. And that brings up a document that looks like this. It's got a list of all of our technical schools across the state of Kentucky. The first set of schools listed are our state operated centers and our regional career academies. So we go down through here and we look at the list of all of those schools. Keep continuing to scroll down, and then we have a list of all of the locally operated centers. And the locally operated centers are who I'm actually speaking to today. So next to your school name, adjacent to your school name, is the tech ID number that is associated with your technical school. So Laurel County, your schools for Center of Innovation, your tech ID number is 98. Okay, so if your high schools decide to pull in course numbers from the catalog and they pull in a course number that starts with, I don't know, let's say they pull in a course number that starts with 90, then they're actually pulling in a Jessamine County course code, and we don't want your Laurel County kids actually syncing to Jessamine County. So that's why it's important to be careful. Hang on for just 1 second, guys. I'm going to put you on hold for a second. All right, sorry, I've got my grandbaby running behind me getting into some mischief, so I just wanted to make sure that she wasn't doing something she shouldn't be doing. All right, so that's where you locate your tech ID number. And that's why it's important to make sure that your high schools are using the correct course code with the correct tech ID number to begin with. Going back over to the breakdown of the course codes. Segment 2 is actually the 6-digit state course code number. So here's some things for the technical schools to think about right now. Right now you're using courses for the 2021 school year, but when you start the new year scheduling process, you're going to be using specific course codes for the 21-22 school year. Some of the courses, now I don't know how many, but some of them you're going to have deprecated courses, you're going to have brand new courses to deal with, you might have some course name changes and things like that. So if you decide to roll your courses forward at the technical school, it is important when you set up your new master schedule to make sure that you are using accurate course numbers, course codes for the 21-22 school year. You don't want to use a deprecated course because if you do that, then you're going to 122 have a lot of tedious adjustments to be able to fix that, because that course, if it's deprecated, it's going to kick out on the lead report, and you don't want that. So to avoid that is to always reference the program of studies document that's located on the Career and Technical Education webpage. So I'm going to go back over here to our KTS Data Exchange webpage, and I just want to point you to where you can find that programs of study document. The programs of study document, if you go to Careers and Technical Education, and then you scroll down to program areas, and that's going to take you to the CTE webpage. And on the right side, under resources, you've got program of study and valid industry certifications. So if you click on that, that'll take you to the documentation that you'll need in order to make sure that you're using valid course codes. Okay? Questions about that? All right, so going into the third segment of that 13-digit course code, that's going to be a course indicator. There's a big, huge, long explanation that I always go into about the difference between the P codes and the X codes. Basically, there's no difference in them. They're just duplicate course numbers. They provide you at the technical school the opportunity to use the same course number in a variable way while still allowing that number to be unique for the KTS Data Exchange. So basically that's what those course indicators do. It allows you to offer variability with your courses, whether it's credit variability, whether it's for dual credit purposes, whether it's for scheduling purposes, whatever those purposes are, while still allowing that course code to remain unique for the KTS Data Exchange. Segment 4 is the technical school period location. So this is just kind of a reference for the high schools. Whenever they see this for oops. Okay, looks like I was having some connection issues. Hopefully everybody can see me and hear me still. Okay, all right. Thank you, Lauren. I just wanted to make sure. Sometimes it happens. Okay. So going back to what I was just saying about the segment 4. So that is a reflection of where that course is housed on the technical school side in the period. So the high school can look at that and say, okay, this is a 4th period course on the technical school side. You don't, on the high school side, you don't necessarily have to put that in your 4th period, but you know the time frame of which that course is being offered. So then you would look at your own period schedule at the high school side and say, okay, their 4th period at the technical school is from, I don't know, say 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. But back at the high school, the 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock range falls into our 5th period, and So you can put it in whatever period location you need to on your high school side, but this segment 4 just kind of gives you a heads up and lets you know where that is on the technical school side. And then the last number is the technical school section number, and that's a arbitrary number that the high schools provide to, the technical schools provide whenever they create the section. Okay. Moving along, here's a visual breakdown of a 13-digit course code. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you there. Oops. Okay, so the first 2 digits, your tech ID number. In this example, 09 is the tech ID number for Caldwell County ATC. The second segment is the state course code, 6-digit state course code. And for this example, 060112 is the state course code for digital literacy. Then we've got a course indicator here. In this case, it's a P. And then we've got our technical school period number, which in this case, this course is housed in period 4. And then the last 2 digits is your tech ID number. I'm sorry, your technical school section number. All right, going forward, here's another example. 81 is the tech ID number for Christian CTC, which they call theirs Gateway Academy. And then we've got our 6-digit state course code, our course indicator, and in this case it's an X. And then we have our period location and our technical school section number that's entered in there. So does everybody feel, I do have a course code exercise that I could take you through, but I don't want to waste your time if you all feel comfortable. But does anybody have any questions about, hang on a second, I'm going to have to get my granddaughter. She's knocking on the door. The joys of working from home. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right. Okay. So does anybody have any specific questions about the course codes and how they're created and what they look like and what you should see whenever you do reference? Well, hang on a second. I'm going to actually have a course code exercise that I can share with you if you feel like you need further information about course codes. I'll be happy to do that. Just let me know. All right, moving forward. Go back down here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the roles of each entity. So what is the responsibility of the technical school right now? Well, basically what their role is the technical school is the one, remember I said they're the ones that initiate the KTS Data Exchange by creating brand new courses and with their sections, or by manipulating courses that have been rolled forward to making sure that they are set up correctly. And so to do that, you should also always reference the KTS course setup guide for technical schools. That is located on the KTS Data Exchange webpage, once again, under the System Administrator Setup heading. There's a document here titled KTS Course Setup Guide for Technical Schools. It's a specific step-by-step on what needs to be done. Okay, so looking at this document, I'm going to scroll down here. The first page talks about the KTS Data Exchange, and it talks about the course codes. And then the second page starts in on adding new courses. So if you are step 1 for a CTC, a locally operated technical school, this is you. You guys are locally operated centers. And so what you need to do is start here on the second page. And the first thing that you need to do is change your course catalog master list. Now, you may be used to creating courses in a different way. You may have been using the Infinite Campus for a really long time, and you know how to create courses, and you usually don't go in and mess with the course catalog master list. And I appreciate that. And there are other ways to create courses, but I just want to make sure that you understand that with the KTS Data Exchange, you have to follow these steps. If you deviate from them, if you try to do any kind of shortcuts or anything, or decide that you can't get a hold of anybody to change this master list, and you really need to get this course created, and a shortcut to do it, don't do it. I'm just recommending to you that you want to make sure that you follow these directions and you don't deviate from them, because if you deviate from them, then you're going to end up with syncing issues, and your kids are not going to sync. Your grades are not going to sync. Something is going to happen. So please make sure that you follow these directions as instructed. So if you're CTC, you're going to change your catalog. And so what will happen is right now we don't have the 21-22 catalog in there yet. I'm working on that. I plan to have that updated after the first of the year, and probably early January timeframe. So just to keep in mind, check whenever you're ready to start manipulating new courses for the new school year. Just either send me an email or check your database and see if that 21-22 catalog is populating for you. So you'll switch your catalog, your master catalog, and then you'll scroll down to the next page. Step 2 shows you how to add brand new courses. So from here, you follow the steps, you go to scheduling and add course to add these courses. If you know another way to add the courses, don't do it. Please follow these particular steps to add them. Once you have added the courses, pulled those into your database, then you will go on to step 3, which is the creation of the sections. Now, on the technical school side, you create however many sections that you need in order to accommodate your master schedule. Okay. Once you have your sections created, then you will contact your high school and let them know. I would actually recommend providing them with a really good master schedule, and I'll show you an example of what a good master schedule would look like. But providing them with a master schedule once you have completed and added all of your courses and everything for the new school year, that way they know what they're working with. And let me just quickly show you what a good master schedule looks like. Okay, so I have a couple examples here, and I can provide those to you. But the first template, like I said, if you have your own template, that's fine. But this is just an example. This first template is just a basic template that's broken down into spring and fall semesters. You got your periods on the left-hand side. You've got it's broken down in a program area, and then they've got the courses that they offer each period per program area, and then for each course they provide that 13-digit course code for their high schools to let them know what the specific course number that they need to look for on the high school side. This really does, I mean, it might take a little bit of extra time for you on the technical school side to decipher these codes for your high school people, But if you do it on the technical school side, you provide your high school people with this information, then they won't have to guess which number they need to pull in, and it's really going to save you guys a lot of issues down the road. So I recommend that when you provide them with a master schedule, you include the 13-digit course codes that coincide with the courses. You can also provide them with the credit values if you want to. So here's one example of a template, and then here's another example. And like I said, if you have your own template, that's fine. You don't have to use these, but I can provide them to you if you want them. Just send me a note and let me know. Here's another template example, broken once again down into fall semester, spring semester, and then on the left-hand side here, we've got our program areas in this case, broken down, and then it provides the actual course that's being offered along with the 13-digit state course code. And the looks like they've also got the credit value listed there as well. So just making sure that you all understand how important it is for your technical schools to provide you with the 13-digit state course code. If you receive a master schedule, if you're a high school and you receive a master schedule and it does not have the 13-digit course code, please ask them for it. Okay, and that way you don't have to guess which course numbers you need to pull in on your high school. Okay. All right, once you have provided your high schools with a copy of a good master schedule, then you will, don't forget to set up your grading tasks. Now, you don't have to do the grading task if you're setting up for the new school year. You don't have to do those right away. As long as you make yourself a note to go back and set those grading tasks up before school starts, that is fine. Just remember to do it, because the grading tasks are actually the conduit for the grades to actually sync from the technical school to the high school. So if you don't have those grading tasks set up on both the technical school and the high school side, then your grades aren't going to sync. So like I said, for scheduling purposes, you don't have to have your grading tasks set up right away. If you want to schedule, work on scheduling and everything in the spring, and then sometime in the summer before school starts, then work on your grading task setup. That is fine. Another thing that you need to do on the technical school side, and it's not specifically listed here, but it is, I think it is listed on the grading task setup guide. But you also, on the technical school side, you need to set up your grade calc options. So there is a document, once again, on the KTS Data Exchange webpage under System Administrator Setup heading. Here's the grading task setup guide. This walks you through on what you need to do to set up the grading task properly. And then this is the KTS grade calc options setup document. And this is the extra step that the technical schools have to do when they set up their courses. So the grading task and the grade calc options documents are listed right here. On the high school side, once you pull those courses in and set those up on the high school, you only have to set up your grading task tab. You don't have to worry about setting up a grade calculation. And that's because the grades that you're receiving on the high school side are already calculated and posted, and they're not being manipulated in your high school database through a grade book that's housed in your database. They are a posted grade that's actually syncing to you, so you don't have to worry with making sure that they have a calculator or a composite or anything like that. So yeah. All right, let's go back over to all right. So yeah, so with your technical school and you're following the proper steps to add a brand new course, then that's how you would add a brand new course. If you are a technical school and you decide that you're rolling courses forward to the new school, to your 2021 school year. So what that basically means is you're taking previously year used courses and you're just going to roll them forward into your calendar for the 21-22 school year, and you're going to reuse them. You can go in and you can update the period location and you can update teachers and stuff like that, but the actual shell or skeleton of the course is being reused. So in that case, you would follow the directions on page 7, where you would update previous courses for the new year. If you are a technical school and you are thinking about, or you already plan on not rolling your courses forward from the previous school year, you want to start from fresh. That means that whoever rolls your calendar forward at your high school or your district, they do not roll any of those courses forward. You would have to start from the very beginning. You would have to start pulling all courses in and everything. But some people like to do that, for whatever reason. Maybe they want to change their scheduling process or whatever. So what I want to ask is, are there any technical schools on the call right now that plan on starting fresh? They plan on not rolling any of their courses forward at all, and they're going to start from scratch. Are there any on the call right now? Okay, so if there are not any on the call right now, then I'm not going to discuss what's going on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. All right. So we talked about setting up the courses correctly. We talked about setting up your grading task and your grade calc options, and providing a final master schedule to your home high schools that include the 13-digit course code. So that is what the technical schools should do for New Year scheduling. Okay, the next slide is just an example of a master schedule that we've already went over. So now we're going to talk about what the high school's responsibilities are when it comes to New Year scheduling. So your responsibility at the high school is to wait until your technical school has completed their building of their master schedule for the new year. Once they have done that, they will communicate that with you. If you don't hear from them, reach out to them and ask them. Communication is really important. So if you haven't heard from them, you don't know what's going on, then reach out and talk to them. It's really good to go ahead and develop this plan right now. That's why we're having these sessions right now. So you can sit down and you can talk with one another. You can meet with one another on your own time and find out what your process is going to be, what the timelines are going to be for your particular situation. So once you receive word from your technical school that their course masters have been created and they have provided you with the master schedule, take a look at that master schedule and make sure that it has those 13-digit codes on there for you. If they don't, reach out to your technical schools and ask them, please decipher those for me so I know exactly which numbers to use. And then what you're going to do after you have that master schedule in hand is you're going to reference the KTS course setup guide for high schools. And that is located, once again, under System Administrator Setup, and then the KTS course setup guide for high schools. Now this document, it's pretty much exactly what we just looked at a minute ago. The first page talks about the KTS Data Exchange and the course codes. And the second page talks about adding new courses and how to connect to the catalog. Once again, you need to make sure that you connect to the proper catalog on the high school side in order to in order to add these courses properly. You don't want to go rogue and say, I have a better way of creating these courses or whatever. You want to make sure you follow these directions. And that will avoid any type of syncing issues later on. Talks about how to add these courses in properly as you go down through the pages. And then on page 4, the differences in these documents start, because on page 4 it talks about how to create your section on the high school side. And on the high school side, it's important for you to remember, so important for you to remember, you only should ever attach one section per 13-digit course on your high school side. And the reason why is because every 13-digit course that you receive in your high school database is basically an independent section back on your technical school side. So it represents one section on your technical school side. You wouldn't want to add multiple sections on your side, because then the database doesn't know which roster of kids to sync back to the technical school. It gets out of sorts. It doesn't know how to sync that information. It creates errors. It creates syncing issues. So it's important for you to remember, at the high school, do not attach more than one section per 13-digit course. Okay. Then what I've said before is that section placement at the high school does not need to match the section placement at the technical school. So place them in the section where it best fits your high school schedule. Then continuing on, scheduling students. So this is another thing that you do on your high school side that your technical school doesn't do when they create their courses. You, on the high school side, are the ones that schedule the students, actually. So you need to go in and make sure that the students are scheduled appropriately. And then once you have scheduled them, then just shoot your technical school a note and let them know, I've started scheduling kids, because they're going to start seeing kids populating in their new school year database after that. And that way they can watch for those new kids populating. And then at some point before school starts, you need to make yourself a note and remember to update your grading tasks. The grading tasks, if they're not updated on the high school side, you will not receive grades. You won't be able to see grades on report cards. You won't be able to see grades for athletic and activity eligibility, none of that. So it's important for you to remember before school starts to set up your grading tasks. There is a document that walks you through the proper procedures for setting up KTS grading tasks for these courses. So just reference that document and make those decisions on how you want to set that up. On the high school side, you do not have to set up your grade calc options. Just making sure that you understand once again.
Those earrings.
Okay, so got your grading test set up. Now, things that you do not do at the high school side, and I'm just going to go over these again. I've already went over some of them. You do not create course codes from other catalogs. You don't create those from scratch. Just because your technical school provides you with the master schedule that has the 13-digit codes on it does not mean that you just create a brand new course out of thin air and give it that course code. That it doesn't work that way. You have to connect the correct course master, and you do that by following the directions in the KTS course setup guide. You do not want to disconnect your courses or move them into different catalogs. I've had some high schools that did not want to have the access to switch catalogs, and they didn't want to wait for the person who had that access to get back to them, so they moved these course masters into their district catalog in order to use them. And when you do that, you disconnect the course from the KTS Data Exchange and it stops syncing right away. So then they don't realize that they've disconnected, and then there's issues later on. So don't disconnect the courses or move them into different catalogs in order to accommodate your needs. Follow the directions, even if you have to wait for your district person to get back to you to change the catalog or whatever, you're just going to have to wait. Do not add more than one section per 13-digit course. Just what I said a minute ago, it confuses the database. It doesn't know which group of kids to send back to the technical school. Don't forget to set up your grading task before the school year starts. You don't have to worry about setting these up when you're scheduling. A lot of times when you're scheduling, you're moving things around. You want to get things right. If you want to do your grading tasks at the same time you're doing your scheduling, that's fine. But just remember, if you don't do them, just make yourself a note to do them before school starts. Questions about course setup. Questions about courses, course setup, grading tasks. I'm going to go into the grading window here in just a second, but I just wanted to see if there were any specific questions about what I've just went over. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and I don't have this information on the PowerPoint. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the Infinite Campus webpage, our Infinite Campus database, so I can explain to you the new grading window tool. So for those of you who've been with Infinite Campus, who've used Infinite Campus for a long time, you remember the active mass checkboxes and the old grading window tool. Well, all of that is phased out and it is no longer. We're using the new grading window tool, and that's located under Gradings and Standards, Grading Window. Okay, so the new grading window tool, when you open it up, it looks a lot like this. And let me just explain a few things for you. In this example, what you do is you create schedules for specific grading tasks for specific terms. Every term you can create a schedule for whatever date range or date ranges that you would like for them to be. Okay. Any schedule that has a previous dates and is already ended is an old schedule, and it shows up in red. So this is in this example, this is a closed or an old schedule. Anything that you see in green is active. That means it's a current schedule. It's got active date ranges in it. This is the one that is open right now. Anything that you see in blue is a future schedule. So these have future dates. They haven't opened yet. They're set up in the database waiting for those dates to come along. Okay? I like this one. I like the blue. I know. I'm just looking at them. I know. Okay. So you can have, with the KTS Data Exchange, it's important to know that for the KTS Data Exchange, the grading window serves, on the technical school side, it serves two purposes. On the technical school side, it opens up that grading window and allows that teacher to post a grade. So you have to have an active window scheduled if you want those grades to post, if you want the teachers to be able to see that post button. But then it also serves the second purpose for the technical school side. It opens up your window. So think of this as a schoolhouse, and you want your grades to fly out that window and fly to the technical school. To fly to the high school. So in order for those grades to fly out your window, you have to set your schedule. And so those are the two purposes that it serves on the technical school side. On the high school side, it serves one purpose for the KTS Data Exchange. It serves the purpose of you opening up your window and allowing that grade to fly into your school. So if you want to receive a grade from your technical school, you have to open up an active schedule and you have to keep it open. Now with the KTS Data Exchange, the CTE term grade, that is the grade that you need to think of as the in progress grade. This is the grade that's constantly going to be syncing to you. It's going to be overwritten and updated. It's going to be used on activity eligibility. It's going to be used on progress reports and term report cards and things such as that. For the final grade, that is the one where you're sending out a final grade for that course and you're wanting to issue a credit with that final grade. So those are some things for you to kind of think about when it comes to the difference between these term grades. So you kind of want to, the grading task. So you kind of want to leave the CTE term grade open all year long according to whatever the quarter that you are working out of. However, sometimes it calls for you to go back and set a previous schedule in order to sync previous quarters. So here's an example of what that looks like. I'll go back. I have someone that has a previous quarter turned on for starting. Looks like right now they have a current schedule until 12/16. They're syncing quarter 2 grades. But then after 12/16, they're going to go back and sync quarter 1 grades. I guess that to pick up those that have missed quarter 1 syncing. So this is an example of how you would do that. You would not have two quarters at the same time turned on. So they wouldn't have quarter 2 still open while quarter 1 is trying to sync. That's not how it works. You can only have one active window open at a time. So per grading task. So make sure that that you don't have any overlapping dates. You don't have any overlapping active windows open at the same time when it comes to a specific grading task for the grading window tool. Another thing that I want to make sure that you understand is there is a bug with the KTS Data Exchange when it comes to the grading window. I communicated that out in email before back in September, but I want to make sure that I let you know about it again. When you set up your grading windows, I'm just going to pretend I'm setting up this grading window right here for this particular class. When you get to select grade levels, this one right here, this is where the bug is. You want to make sure that the all grade levels bullet is selected. Do not select specific grade levels. You do not want to go down through here and select specific grade levels. If you have specific grade levels selected, you need to delete that out and recreate a new schedule. So you want to make sure that all grade levels is selected when you create a schedule. If you don't do that, you're going to have error message that's going to pop up and your grades are not going to sync. So I just want to make sure that you understood that. Questions about the grading window? Okay. All right. So scheduling suggestions. So I've already kind of talked to you about a lot of it. High schools, keep in mind that the process of scheduling is unique and separate from what you normally are used to. So you need to make sure that you reference the documentation when you're creating you're creating or updating courses for the KTS Data Exchange. Communication. Communication is key. It's important. For the KTS Data Exchange, you have to have that open line of communication between technical school and high school people. The KTS Data Exchange webpage, once again, please be sure to reference it when you have questions and issues. You're going to get 99% of your answers from that webpage. There is, if you're high school and you use a course request or schedule wizard process, you can use that with the KTS Data Exchange, but you have to make sure that you use dummy courses. You do not use the 13-digit course codes when you are doing the schedule wizard process. And the reason why is because the schedule wizard will create additional sections automatically, and those additional sections will actually duplicate those 13-digit course codes, and you don't want that. Oh, sorry. You don't want that. So just make sure that you are using dummy courses for the schedule wizard purposes. Okay, what is the timeline? Now, the timeline looks a little bit different for you guys because you all are locally operated. I don't know when your district person is actually creating your new year calendars. So it's dependent upon your district person and what your district person's timeline is. So you want to get with them. Now, I am creating New Year calendars for my people in my district database, but get with your district people to find out what they're doing. You might want to give them your preferences. If you don't want your courses rolled forward, if you're a technical school and you don't want your courses to be rolled forward, you need to make sure they know that. Then once your New Year calendar and the technical school has been created, then you can go ahead and start working on your master schedule for the new school year. But well, I'll take that back. You need to wait for me to publish the 21-22 catalog, and that'll probably happen sometime in early January. So you will have to wait for that. But once that catalog is populated, then you can go ahead and start creating your master schedule. Once you at the technical school has completed the process of creating your master schedule, you will communicate that master schedule with your high school, and by providing them with a master schedule that has the 13-digit course codes. Okay. Be sure when you are creating your master schedule, be sure that you sorry, Ava, go in the other room, baby. Be sure that you use courses that are not deprecated. You don't want to use courses that are going to be obsolete going into the new school year. And then once you have provided your technical school, you provided that new master schedule for your high school people, then they can start going ahead and manipulating all of their courses on the high school side, adding students, so forth and so on. Okay, do we have questions? So, any questions? My email address is attached here. That's going to be the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can also call this number and leave a message, and I can call you back.